Hello and welcome to Chatcade Podcast, where we walk you through a movie, try our hardest not to get distracted and force Hayden to say back to this movie, and then finally we get our opinion on the movie in general. I'm your host, John King Thomas Hughes.
Back to the movie.
That's Hayden. Hi. Today we're discussing Deep Blue Sea 3, released direct to digital in 2020, and I think that's our first most recent movie we've covered from 2020, isn't it? I don't think we've covered anything from that dreadful year. I think it's the first one we've actually done. So, it serves as a direct sequel to the second movie, while also technically existing in the same universe as the first. Just go with it. The movie was directed by John Pog. We'll call him John Pog. Who directed Quarantine 2, Terminal, The Quiet Ones, and Blood Brothers. He also wrote the screenplay for the 2002 horror movie Ghost Ship, which was average at the best. The movie stars Tanya Raymond from Lost, Goliath, The Last Ship, one of many in this film I might add, and Texas Chainsaw 3D, where she's that really dreadful line of "Welcome to Texas, motherfucker," with a very squeaky voice.
Welcome to Texas, motherfucker!
The movie also stars Nathaniel Buzzolick from the originals, where he reprised his role from The Vampire Diaries, and he was also in Hacksaw Ridge. We also have Emerson Brooks from The Last Ship as well, Super 8, National Treasure Book of Secrets, and Captain America the Winter Soldier. He has also lent his voice to a lot of video games, including being the voice of the local population in both GTA 5 and Saints Row 4. Both rivals then, he did both of them. And finally, we have Bren Foster, who was also in The Last Ship, as I said, as well as Infinite, Terminus, and the Mad Max video game, where he voiced Max. This film is basically just like, hey, you got a TV show actor or actress? Yeah, just put me in here. The Last Ship meets The Vampire Diaries. Michael Bay's Wet Dream.
All I could think of while watching the film is like, why is Cole here fighting sharks?
See, obviously, I've seen up to a certain point in Vampire Diaries and up to a certain point in the originals, and I got past it. But obviously, for me, I see this more as just The Last Ship with sharks. For the fact of, apart from the last series, Series 5, I watched every series of that. And as I say, Tanya Raymond is in the... My memory's going back here. I think the second series, I think she was in the end of the first series. I can't remember off the top of my head. She wasn't in it very long, but obviously she was in that. And I do remember from Lost quite a lot. Emerson Brooks, he come into it late on, and he was really good in that show, and he's quite decent in this as well. I really enjoyed him in this. And obviously, fucking Bren Foster, he's like come into... I think about halfway through the second series as well, he came into The Last Ship, and he's been in it ever since, and he's pretty much plays his same character in this, like this badass, just kicks the shit out of everything. But without the sarcastic old person jokes like in this film. But yeah, I think compared to the last film, this has got a better cast.
Yeah.
Because they're all... We know people in this, not like last time, apart from like one person who we saw in... So I saw in like one film, and you may have seen Aquaman, I'm not too sure. Pretty certain you did. May not, I don't know.
I've got it. I just haven't watched it because of reasons.
I've seen it a few times. Don't worry, we're covering it we're covering it later this year, so you'll be fine. You can watch it then.
Oh god! Of all the Johnny Depp jokes I'm gonna make. Oh god.
Okay, so the movie focuses on a group studying the effects of climate change off the coast of Mozambique when they are attacked by genetically enhanced bull sharks from the previous movie. But to top it off, a group of mysterious men following are trying to capture the sharks, and they're definitely not bad guys.
Sound like a load of bull sharks.
Cue the titles. And so let's get straight to this in Hayden. So the movie opens and doesn't steal the water fading logo from the first movie, so already looking less like a copy and paste. We then pan over the water and watch as three fins slowly breach the surface in a very cool looking shot, a very menacing tune over top of it. We then follow these sharks until they see like this island come into view, and they all go diving back under. And then as the pan over this village, island, whatever you want to call it, fishing village. We then fade to black and we get our title. And from like less than a minute, it's already looking a better movie than the second one. And nothing's even happened. All I saw was a few shark fins, a nice tune, decent sort of cinematic panning. And I was like, yeah, this looks already better than the last one. Which is not hard, as you gave it a 0. It's definitely not hard to get past 0 out of 10. Not hard at all.
There's only one film that could like hit that.
Is George Revenge?
Not even that. There's one film that exists as well that could get -1.
Ooh. Have I seen this film?
I think so. Maybe.
Well, we'll discuss that at recording because I'm curious. So we then cut to Emma Collins, played by Tanya Raymond, who talks to a camera and explains that this is their third summer at Little Hope. Little Hope. That's a game. I kept writing this going, don't put Little Hope, don't put Little Hope. First thing that comes out of my mouth, Little Hope. Little Happy, which is an abandoned fishing village, which has been abandoned due to climate change.
Yeah.
Which is this film's major plot point, is climate change. Which is a lot better than just, let's... Robots versus drones, yeah. Sorry, robots versus drones. It was robots versus sharks, which was then drones versus sharks. Fuck it, that movie was shit, let's carry on. She then says there is also another side to Little Happy. I almost said it again, Little Hope, but I'm not saying it. And shows the audience the water before taking us underwater. And we watch as she swims round, explaining a lot of the stuff they're doing, as well as getting us some really nice underwater nature shots, which look beautiful. Which I think those sort of shots they probably shot at an actual location, like where they can go like diving and whatnot. But I know the majority of this film, the village itself, was just a big field. They just blocked it all off, filled it with water, put a village on top of it, and went, there you go, village.
I prefer Big Unhappy though. That was a better village.
She basically then points to the sharks, which her now cameraman points at. She explains their homes are being threatened by climate change. She then finally name drops a cameraman, Eugene Shaw, or just Shaw for short, who is played by Emerson Brooks. He just is worried the fact there's loads of sharks, and he's like, yeah, there's loads of sharks, can we just hurry this up? But, yeah, nothing bad ever happens in shark movies when it comes to sharks being around people, right? Right? No. We then get our first CGI shark approaching, and it isn't a bull shark, it's a great white shark called Sally. Wonder if it's that one in disguise from the last movie.
It is, yeah.
Oh,
it is.
Good for her. She made it into the sequel. And, you know what, the CGI actually looks a lot better instantly. It doesn't look shit.
Which is saying something.
Exactly.
It's not the best, but it looks
I'd say, for a direct-to-digital / DVD film, it looked a lot better than Deep Blue Sea 2. And yeah, so I think it actually looks a lot better than the first movie CGI as well. Which isn't hard because it's 1990 CGI.
Yeah, that was
1999. I say that was old CGI, but I still think this is probably their best instance of CGI. Wow, it took 3 films to actually make some good-looking sharks.
And time.
Anyway, Emma says Sally is just reminding her of basically who she is. But as she reaches her hand out to touch the snout, Sally just rams into Emma, knocking her into the rocks, causing her to bleed, and forcing Shaw to force her out of the water due to blood in the water. Luckily, it's not wine, because if it was wine, they'd be fucked. Because, quote unquote, wine attracts sharks. Oh, she'd be definitely dead if she coated herself in fucking red wine. Note to self, don't coat yourself in red wine and jump in water. Got ya. On the surface, she wraps up her video blog before complaining at Shaw due to Sally's slight outburst. They have this little back and forth argument before Emma compares his dialogue choice to something her dad would say. Which is like a really harsh thing to someone to say, like, ouch. It's basically calling me old. It's not the first time he's going to get called in this film, old. We then head to this boat where Bella is lying dead. We learn this shark is Bella from Richard Lowell, played by Nathaniel Buzzolick, the Vampire Diaries guy. We also then meet Lucas, the sort of henchman, big muscly guy, played by Brian Foster, who says they can't track the other three since Bella was the only one with the tracking device and she's dead, so mission's over pretty much. But Richard points out Bella was a good mom. Good mom.
Mhm.
She, she brought her kids to a, what is it he quoted? Was it all you can eat buffet?
I think so.
And obviously, it shows the sort of screen on his device where it sort of pinpoints the sort of region where they're going to be. We then cut back to Emma, who grabs a drink, allowing us to meet Spinnaker. Spinnaker? I can't remember how you pronounce his name. It's a weird sounding name, but we'll go with it. I was calling him Spin for short. He's played by Alex Bat. I'm pretty certain the H is silent. And he said, "What are you laughing at?"
I thought you said Alex Fat. I was like, you can't say that.
No, it's
You can't say
BHAT, but I assume the H is silent, like it's bat maybe, or the hat, I don't know.
I still thought you said fat.
Okay, we'll call him
You
Alex
can't
Fat.
Oh god, you're gonna kill us.
He says the footage is gonna get a lot of likes on Facebook and Insta. Why is it with these like movies and like referring to social media?
Because you know.
To be fair, it's better than the last one with the fact they're like, "Hey, let's take a selfie." It's only better dialogue than that. That's a good actually South African accent. Yeah, then to an extent for me. He explains the drone they've got is slightly fucked, but he'll fix it. We then meet Mia, played by, here goes another one, Raina Ayo.
Ayo, ayo, we said boom, boom, boom.
who is concerned about Emma's arm. Emma is more interested in the Triton, which is this underwater sonar device thing I've got. Yeah, it's a sonar, but underwater. And visual. Better than... Basically like a 3D game looking. I don't know. It's underwater sonar. I don't know how to explain it. Mia makes an emo joke because, you know, emo jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Before saying something in Japanese to Emma, which she doesn't understand. And she's like, I'll be on it. And the two then discuss the sharks in the nursery, which isn't right info, like the amount that's in there. Emma's just thinks, it's a glitch, it's fine. We'll put some new sensors up tomorrow. But we'll have some plot for this movie. We then meet Nandi and Bahari, who are the only residents left in the village. I'm not going to try and pronounce their real life names. I've had enough. Nandi wants to stay, but Bahari wants to leave. The two agree to continue this conversation later on, but they never do. Next, we go to them having dinner with the rest, because Bahari caught some fish, so they're eating fish. Except Spin, who Bahari mocks for not eating not eating fish. My words are jumbled as fuck at the moment. This is all because he's a pegan, as Mia calls him, which is a vegan, but she calls him a pegan. Jokes. We then learn that Spin and Mia are clearly dating, and everyone knows it. And that Mia thinks Emma is old, since apparently in Japanese custom, it's custom for basically young people to pour a drink for the elderly. And then Emma tries to throw this joke on Shaw because he's like the butt of the old person jokes. Every single person that makes an old person joke always chucks it at him. Even though he doesn't look that old, he looks more buff than they think. But they all laugh this off, and we cut outside where we see the sharks have made it to the village and are swimming around. We then cut to the next morning, where everyone is doing their, what I'm assuming is morning routine. Shaw spots the boat from earlier on in the distance. They point out supplies aren't due for a week. It's not a trash barge. So Emma then jokes that maybe there are some clothes that Shaw can have because his shirts apparently don't fit. What? It's a design choice. I'm pretty sure that's a joke in Fast and Furious, like one of the later ones with The Rock. I'm pretty certain they make a joke about him constantly having shirts that don't clearly are too tight for him. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I watched those movies.
It's to reveal the fact that he's got muscles
and can fight a certain person later on. To make it's not just a shark eating people movie.
No, it's humans bad.
Pretty much. And obviously the boat comes into dock and Emma meets Richard, But it's not the first time they met since they knew each other back in like college or university or one of those things. And,
Well, bang, okay.
yeah, basically they used to fuck. But that's yesterday's news. We'll move on because Shaw is very like, I don't like this guy already because I know him from years ago, so I don't like him. And Richard then introduces Lucas. Shaw clearly has a lot of beef already with these two guys, especially Richard, who he calls Richie, and in return he gets called Eugene. There's a lot of tension already here. They then explain they are here looking for bulls, which killed a bunch of people upriver. Richard explains they hunted in a pack when they killed, which Emma doesn't believe since that's impossible. Basically, they don't do that. He's like, they do, and then they're like, okay, Mia, look at the Triton. What you got? Looks on the sonar, sees nothing. Okay, so Eugene. Sorry, sure. I'm not going to be an arsehole to Eugene because I like Eugene. I know, I call him Eugene multiple times then. Shit, sorry, mate. Sure. In a less verbal way, tells them basically to go fuck off and have a good trip. He's like, oh, no balls, bye. But in other words, he was saying, fuck off, get out. But he's being kind. Should have stopped him to fuck off, though. It would have been less of a hassle then.
Yeah, the entire movie would be ended by then.
Exactly. And this is what? Like 25 minutes in, something like that? Maybe less than that?
I know, it saves the Doctor getting a little bit of practice later on.
Exactly. And outside, Richard reveals he follows Emma's blog. For Emma questions why someone with his sort of skill set, which is like this really good skill set, is doing what he's doing right now. And he's like, oh, come on board, we'll have a drink and I'll sort some stuff out. And she accepts, but since they're both diving, they do a smart thing and drink water. Because drinking and diving do not mix. I almost said driving then. Diving. Drinking and driving also doesn't mix, so don't do it.
Drinking and making a podcast also doesn't mix either. As evidenced by Tom.
So I shouldn't be drinking his Pepsi Max.
You drink Pepsi Max, just not the vodka. Put it down, you alcoholic.
I'll put it down, don't worry.
I've
lost track of where I am now. My vision's going all blurry.
What's your own fault? Amazing. Honestly, like, how have you not won Best Actor yet?
Okay, give me enough time to figure out where I was. The two then have a little conversation, which results in Emma finding Bella's brain, which Richard is basically dissecting for info. Emma then finds Bella's tracker still on. She's like, why is it still on? But Richard just turns it off for answering Emma's question on who's paying this, mission, which is Genetics Lab, I think they called it. Which at first I was like, wait, is that on the second one? But it's not. You find out later it's not. This is a brand new, science division lab pharmaceutical company. There's a lot of pharmaceutical companies introduced with sharks. It's like the third one there that wants something to do with sharks. Learn from your mistakes.
Oh, history will repeat once again.
They both then have a little laugh before Richard asks her to stay out of the water for a while, but she explains she also has work, so she literally has no choice but to go in the water. Outside, we then see Lucas, Richard, and their team being bros while suiting up. They then dive, but not just then. Emma and Shaw are also down there in the water, adding the sensors, to the blind spots I said they were going to do earlier. The bro team, as I'm going to call them from now on, state that there aren't any balls around them. It's all black tip sharks at the moment.
But bullshit.
This forced them to head further in, and eventually they decide to split up because that's the smartest thing to do. We've all watched Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Let's split up. Someone's definitely going to get killed.
Obviously, everyone goes to the hot girl, and then the ones who can't, they're fucked.
We then see Emma hook one of the sensors onto a wall before we follow different members of the bros in some more beautiful underwater shots before rejoining Emma, who finds two dead great whites. But there is a third shark that isn't explained, so I'll take it it's not a great white. Because there's clearly three sharks down there, but she says two dead great whites.
She can't count.
Either that or it's just a different type of shark. I don't know. I feel like it looked like it looked like a great white to me, though.
I think they accidentally put three in.
Either that or they fucked up the... Yeah. I'd say something like that. I fuck up within like the post-production and whatnot.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd probably say because it did look like the size compared to the other ones looked like a great white. Because if you look at the other two and look at that one, it did look very much like a great white.
Mm.
Because I'm assuming if it was another shark, she would have like mentioned as well. Oh, it's two dead great whites, and I don't know.
Mako or
Yeah,
and yeah.
I'd assume she would have pointed at that as well. So I agree with you. It's probably like an editing mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, then there is we obviously then cut to Richard, who scares her from behind when he grabs her. He's like, "Hey," he's trying to talk to her, but they're going blah 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 because different comms, so they can't hear each other. I don't know why they even attempted to try and speak to each other.
They're dumb.
Mia then catches a blip on the Triton and tells them they have a ball in the field, and then relays the info to Richard, who, while doing the shark fin symbol on your head as you do, underwater hand gestures. And I don't know what you call them. I'm just calling them underwater hand gestures.
Oh,
No, when you do like the OK signs and stuff like that, those sort of ones.
yeah.
I just can't
I
think of the
know
actual
that.
word. I can't think of the actual word from. I know there's an actual word from, but I just can't fucking think of it.
Oh well, we'll call them hand gestures.
Yeah, but it's called hand gestures, hand job gestures. What?
No, that's later after recording.
Oh, okay, thanks. Hey,
Hmm.
yeah. So he relays the situation into Lucas, so his bros team up to try and get the shark, but they're like, where is he? Where he's a bastard. But the shark's not by them. And they realise then that one of them is actually missing. One of the bros are missing. R.I.P. bro, because something's going to happen there. And he's spotted by Emma and Richard, but when he comes past, he's, missing the lower half of his body. Forcing them all out the water. Because he's dead. R.I.P. bro.
No, bro number one.
Bro number one. Bro number one, bro number two. Bro number... How many bros are there? Is there 3?
God, it's bro universe. The broverse.
I think there's 3. Do you reckon they're smashing bros? No jokes.
Ironic.
Outside the water, Emma questions Rich on the sharks, and he gives her a bullshit, no pun intended, excuse to the behaviour being climate change based. Very much line sack of shit right now. He then says they need to get the sharks out quick before stuff happens. We then listen to 2 of the bros discussing the death, but Lucas hears them and has a go at them and tells them, if you want to say something about him because he's my mate, speak louder so I can hear you. And he's like, oh, okay. Get your suits up. Pardon me. And, get in the water. So they suit up and head off. Inside the base, Emma and Shaw argue over Richard, but she tells him they lost a human out there, so, we've got to go help. She then asks Spin to track Bella's tracker, the search history. A lot of weird porn on there. A lot of weird shark porn.
Like people looking at your search history.
Get off my search history now, Hayden, I'm going to punch you.
Do it. I got the watermelons.
So obviously he's like, oh yeah, I can do that. Lucas and Richard enter and explain their plan to use seal blood for this like device in the water. We'll spread it out. Mia's like turns to Spin. She's like, oh, sharks like seal blood. He's like, I got that. And Lucas then has like this sexist moment. He's like, I'm gonna bring like one of my guys into a place, Mia, and do your job. And Emma's like, whoa. We don't need a big strong guy to come in and help us. He's like, sometimes a big strong guy is helpful. And they're basically just talking out of it. Thanks to Mia calling my grandpa in Japanese.
Grandpa.
And Shaw then questions what the two have on them, with Richards pointing out their basic track darts, which Shaw... He's like, oh, no, we got them, so we know what that is, but I wonder about what Lucas has got in his hand, which is actually explosive bullets for when they don't want to capture the sharks, when they want to go, bye-bye.
Bang, bang.
And this obviously angers everyone, because one misfire could result in the village sinking, since it's already sinking as it is. So you hit one, what's the word I'm after? A support pole, and it goes bye-bye. And they're like, don't worry, we won't miss. None of my guys miss. Proved wrong in a bit instantly. After Richard talks to Emma, she agrees to help, so she patches them into the comms and tells Mia to let them know if any balls pop up. So outside, the bro team dive under with Nandi watching. When do they deploy the blood, which brings a lot of sharks, but not the kind they want at first. I don't know why they're swimming into shark blood. That's like the most stupidest thing to do. Then they go, oh, sorry, no, it's wine. No, it's fine. It's wine. It's not. It's fine. Okay. Inside the command center, Mia points out the Great White is on the seafloor, which Emma realizes it's Sally, but she's confused to why she's not going after the blood since the water is pumped full of blood. But Mia puts it to, she's just scared. We then cut to the bro team deploying more stuff to bait in the sharks. We cut to spin for a brief few seconds before cutting back to Emma and Mia, who, have some girl talk about Mia, want to bang spin. Which results a cut back to Spin, who's, hooking his laptop up to do the search history stuff on the tracker. And then underwater, the team are now being hunted by a bull, which Mia spots on the Triton. But it turns out it's going towards the cove instead, so Richard's like, I got this, and heads off. Emma and Shaw then grab a radio and some dark guns stuff and head out. They spot the shark heading for Richard, who misses his shot, as pointed out by the fact I said, oh, no one misses their shot, instantly misses his shot. But unlike him, Emma actually hits her shot from above water, but is not quick enough because the shark does grab Richard and drag him away, forcing her to dive into the water to save him. And with the help of Lucas, she drags him out the jaws of the shark, because he's literally been nommed down by an unconscious shark. And they drag him back to the surface, where he tells Lucas to drag the shark out the water, while the others tend to his wounds. We then cut to Bahari doing some fishing, before cutting back to Emma, who helps Richard to a bed to fix, his bite wound. The two have a little, you want to fuck later? Maybe. One of those kind of moments. Flirting.
We'll bang okay. We'll bang okay.
But she points out the fact that, at least one thing got out of this shark bite, you won't have to buy another drink ever again. And he's like, oh, you want to buy me a drink? And, as I say, the flirt. He thanks her for saving him. Flirt. Just fucking get it over with, okay?
Then they bang.
No, they don't bang.
No.
Sadly, they don't bang. Obviously, this results in her asking to see the shark they caught. We then cut back to Bahari, who's, singing on his ukulele for a brief few moments. And he then catches something on his line, but realises it's snagged, so, it's a smart thing and dives under when... Actually, has anyone even told them there's any sharks in this water at the moment?
I don't think so.
I'm assuming maybe he left before they woke up then.
Yeah.
Because I think it'd be a bit dumb if he went out like midday and then no one told him, hey, yeah, do you want to be careful? There's some really killer sharks in these waters now. Because, what's going to happen next. As he goes into the water, pulls his line, he realises it's not snagged, it's actually inside the mouth of one of the balls. It releases it and goes after him with him swinging his knife, but we cut away. And onto the boat where Emma sees the shark and she asks its age, since it's clearly a pup, for explaining that, oh, it's not a she, it's actually a he. Richard looks like, nah, it's a she. Looks at his crotch and is like, oh, right, no, it is a he. Big shark penis. Emma then tells him that she's going with him to catch the other two, then obviously when they go back, but we then stick to the deep blue sea usual theme of having a weird scene that's not really needed, where the lead woman just, bathes. That's like 3 films in a row that's had someone like in a scandalous moment, like with water around them.
It's almost like Michael Bay's like taken over.
Well, the last ship was executively produced by Michael Bay. Maybe that's why.
Told you, he's found ways to break into it.
Yeah, this is. But unlike the last scene, like the last one that did it, when she just ran and just stripped down and just dried off for like a few seconds before cutting to the wet labs, this does actually carry on the scene does as she's called by Nandi, who sees the boat. So it's not as... It's useless scene. It doesn't really need to be panned onto her. It's clearly just panned on her for her to go, like, man, go, Boner alert. And,
Tom, put it away.
Whoops, sorry. Slipped out. And they head off and tow the boat in. But they check on the boat and, they reveal the worst, which is Bahari dead, as they pull his arm out without his body. He dead.
I think he's fine.
He starts waving. It's like waving his arm. Hello, I'm alive still. Hello. I think, do you reckon that would cheer her up? Would you reckon she might punch him in the face if someone did that?
No, I think it's true.
Yeah, got you. The group comfort her before we see Richard and Lucas arguing about Emma, and if she'll help, adding some tension between these two. The two of the actual named bros are getting tension there.
Mm. The
What is
best
that?
part.
You're then just sound like you're getting really turned on by the tension. And then, what makes it worse, every time I glance over to my Discord, I've actually got it half open there in case you send anything in Discord. All I can see is Terry Crews.
Totally fucking Crews.
I just keep glancing over. I'm going to put my hand over the crotch so I don't see it anymore. Where are we then? We cut inside the base where Emma asks Spin about the tracking, so he gets the laptop out and shows her the history. He shows her that the tracking actually started at a facility called Achilleos, so they lied about the river situation. And, it gives us a little rundown of the second movie, before Emma confronts Richard and complains that they basically aren't sharks anymore. But before they can get into it anymore, something hits the boat. And when we head into the lab, we see the two other balls hitting the side of the shark. Side of the ship. Still drunk here. And Lucas orders the sharks to be killed. So, they arm up with the explosive tips, hang over the edge about to shoot, but none of them get a clear shot. And Shaw spots this and complains to them. He's like, hey, assholes. You shoot one over here. You shoot one over here like this, really far away from you. You're going to fuck us up. Even though, they're clearly aiming down, so they're not going to hit him. But, he's got to put the point out even more that if something happens explosive-wise over here, the whole place is going to sink. Plot point! And back on the boat, Richard points out they want the sharks, so Emma tells him to release their shark, but instead he points a weapon at the shark, which causes the other two to swim away, to everyone's shock, since they recognise the weapon. Which is a plot point from the first one, if I remember correctly. I don't think it was in the second one. I can't remember if it was in that. But I know the first one, when he's underwater in the cage, he puts the gun at it, the one shark, and it swims off, doesn't it? And Sam Jackson was like, they recognise their gun. So I think that's a little throwback to that one.
Mm.
And then inside the lab, Emma and Richard finally have a one-to-one with the truth, as he explains that it didn't actually start with the balls at Achilleos. It actually started with Makos being used to treat Alzheimer's. This now leads to them basically tying all movies into the same universe, which is one of the reasons I enjoy this movie more, since I like a good shared universe. MCU, whatever they're called, DC one right now, because it's fucking gone through many names. Arrowverse, the Hawaii Fovo, NCIS, basically CBS universe.
The old X-Men universe.
That one.
Got fucked up.
Basically, I like shared universes, so that's why I like this one a little bit more. Because it makes a shared universe, even has the balls to include the second one.
Like Chilling Adventures of Sabrina and Riverdale.
Yeah, and what was that? They did that one which got cancelled, didn't they? Like Katie Keene or something like that. I
think so, yeah.
Which...
I remember there was the Pretty Little Liars and another weird ghost kind of TV show were connected as well.
Yeah, there's a lot that do shared universes, because shared universe is always the best because there's more you can do. There's a lot you can do, like crossovers. Like, heck, Scooby-Doo and Supernatural, that's a fucking shared universe. There's literally an entire Supernatural episode where they go cartoon and meet Scooby-Doo.
I mean, Doctor Who. I mean, fuck off, that's 50 years of fucking shared universe.
Exactly.
Sarah Jane Adventures, Class, until it died. Torchwood, fucking hell. I mean, the K9 and Friends.
Yeah, that one as well. I remember that.
Came out.
Yeah, I remember that.
There's loads of shared stuff.
It's always the best when they do shared universe. It's always the best.
Like why the series 4 was my favourite. Because the ending obviously had the massive crossover with all of the best moments in best people. That was good. Oh.
Yeah, I crossover is always the best.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we'll carry on rather than jabbing on about shared universes. And he then also explains that they couldn't use the same mode of death each time when they're trying to kill the shark, since the sharks realised and began to learn what was going on. He also explains that genetics lab brought both the Alzheimer's research and the intelligence research, even though I'm pretty certain both died when both place is sunk. We'll look past that. Basically, they went and brought Deep Blue Sea 1 and Deep Blue Sea 2 on Blu-ray. They went, yeah, okay, we'll copy that. Okay, get rid of the evidence now. Pretty much that. He then clicks Bella's tracker on and explains that the shark's sixth sense kicks in since the tracker was their mom's. So when they hear it, they think she's there, and their brains are basically implanted with this frequency from birth, since the frequency's in her from the get-go, and since they're in her, it like passes on genetically, some bullshit like that, something like that.
Yeah, movie science.
Yeah, pretty much. Emma then argues with Richard, telling him to turn it off before she storms out, since the shark was going really crazy. And this is all seen by Lucas, forcing Richard to chase after it, as he tries to explain the situation to her and why they have to catch the sharks. Emma then socks him on the jaw and walks away. Her friends agree with this punch and smile before following her, proving that she's very badass. And probably the most badass female character in the entire trilogy. Since she actually does something.
Yeah.
Better movie.
And at some point, she'll go hand to hand with someone.
Exactly. To be fair, I do like the fights in this. I'll point out multiple times. The fights are really well choreographed. Helps that they actually did it themselves, so,
Yeah, I did like the fights. I mean, as you know, I'm not a big fan of shark films.
But adding this little fighting. It sort of draws you away a bit and gives you like a little rest, but also keeping you like glued to the screen at the same time. Which is nice. We then cut back onto the boat. Lucas confronts Richard over telling Emma the secret info. He pulls the tracker from his hand, since the tracker was a secret from even Lucas. He didn't even know that this was the way Richard was tracking it. He then complains about not having this sooner, but realises he has it now, so they can finish what they started by any means necessary. Which means we now have a bad guy in a very natural way.
Yeah.
It's not like he's instantly put as a bad guy. He's actually a good guy early on, but then he starts getting pissed off when his bros start dying, and he's like, "I'm gonna kill these sharks no matter what. I'm now a bad guy. I'm now the villain, and we'll get a villain monologue shortly."
We will.
We then cut back to the good guys who try to figure out what to do. They at first want to report the situation, but Spim tells them the internet is down. Oh no, the internet is down. Damn it.
Oh no!
Do you reckon Jen took the internet again to people? I can't remember who they were. It was at the board meeting, wasn't it? She took the internet box as the joke, and everyone believed it, wasn't it? Wasn't it Moss and Roy Conninger?
Yeah, that's right.
And then everyone believed it was the internet, and when it broke, they all got really scared, and they all started battering each other. Yeah, that was love that. That was funny. That was.
And Moss is there laughing.
They're both pissing themselves, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then
we got you.
Yeah, I love that. Shaw watches from a distance as Lucas and his bro team have a funky case, as he calls it. So he gets Spin to grab the drone so they can spy, while Emma tries to use the sat phone, only to find it doesn't work. She then grabs the cable attached to it, so she can follow the cable. As bro team swims underwater, the drone follows in pursuit, and they watch on, but Mia calls them in since she has the feed on the big monitor. Since you don't want to lose that little tiny fucking screen. Get on the big screen. Pretty much that. And they're watching it as they basically plant a bomb-looking device on the wall of the nursery. I wonder if it's a bomb. Shaw says he needs to find Emma quick. We then cut to Emma, who has followed the cable to the point of the water, so she strips down to a bikini and heads on in. And she uses the cable as a guide, since she's got to pull at the cable and whatnot, and she eventually has to dive under for a few seconds. But when she rises, she has two cables in her hand, which when she reports it to the others, she explains that they cut the cable, which is why E.T. can't phone home.
Haha, humorous.
The group agreed that they must stop the sharks before they make babies. Sweet, sweet love. And Shaw then explains the bomb situation since he worked in the military, so he knows a mine when he sees one. He he's basically just giving us that point now where, what, we need to hurry this plot up now. We've got about 30 minutes. Oh, it's a bomb. We'll speed this up. Go for it.
Bomb.
Basically gives us a countdown to the end. And he tells them that when it goes off, it's going to cause a tsunami, which is going to take out the entire village. And says she has to talk to Richard, so she leaves to talk to him since she thinks he's a part of this. But we find out when she confronts him about the mine, he has no fucking clue since it was all Lucas, not him. And then Lucas appears with a Nerf gun.
Yes.
It looks like a Nerf gun, doesn't it?
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, why the fuck has he got a Nerf
First time
gun?
I watched it, like back in, I think it was August when it came out on DVD last year.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it, I was like, is that a Nerf gun? And then when I watched it again, I was like, it fucking looks like a Nerf gun. I'm writing that down. I'm putting out my notes. Use the Nerf gun. Because it looks like one of those fucking funky-ass Nerf guns you could get. But obviously, when we come to it in a minute, you'll find out it's not. But first, we have to have the full villain speech, monologue, whatnot. As he explains that, the money bags didn't send them here to get the research and whatnot. They wanted to actually cover up the mistakes from these previous ones.
Mm.
And Lucas claims it's all about survival now. And then begins firing his Nerf gun, but it's full of explosives. Starts blowing up the village, splitting the group up into 2 teams of 1 and 1 team of 2. Emma and Richard are unable to do anything as he slowly blows apart this village. But when he aimed at Shaw, Emma managed to grab the gun, tussle with him, makes him misfire, which angers Lucas, and caused a little tussle between them two. But she managed to eventually fight her way out, which get encouraged by Richard. It's like this run. But Lucas fires at her and sends her in that weird flippy motion in the air, and she splashes back into the water. And the bro squad then take Richard away since he's no longer a bro. And Emma, as far as they're aware, Emma's a fucked. She's gone. She's got blown to smithereens, even though she clearly didn't. So they just walk off.
Totally not the final girl.
Yep, it's not as if she's on the cover of the DVD or the poster.
Mm.
Or the thumbnail for this video. Not a final girl.
Totally not.
Shaw then spots the shark and calls for Mia and Spin, who are I think they're in the communication room area place. I'm not too sure. They're in something that's sinking basically. Emma then returns to Shaw and explains the situation, so they come up with a plan which involves Shaw going for Mia and Spin while Emma goes after the bomb. Shaw then tries to create a path, but the fire's too much, you can't get through it. So we then cut to Emma, who gears up in a poster gear, because literally that gear she wears now is what's in the poster: the white bathing suit, the scuba gear. That's literally is the poster shot. Apart from the giant shark on the poster, that's nothing to do with this movie. Like they went, hey, let's use the Meg picture and just put a person by it. That's not Jason Statham.
That doesn't make sense.
Why does it make sense?
Boobies.
I'm definitely not hinting at what's coming next week.
No. I wonder what's coming next week.
Lucas sees her gearing up and whatnot and tells one of his bros, I'm calling him bro number 2, to go deal with it, while telling him to he basically just tells her to stop. He goes, I'll just stop her. I'll deal with other stuff. Lucas basically then gives Richard an ultimatum. Stay and get paid, get the big bucks, or go and join Emma and basically die. Richard does the right thing here. He chooses Emma.
Power of love.
Yeah, but as he dives into the water, the shark bursts out and eats him, to the shock of Emma. And her shock is only for a brief moment as Shaw confronts her and is like, okay, calm down, you got to get the job done, get out there, do your job. And she's like, okay, so she heads off. And Lucas and his other bro, I think it's bro number 3 now. I've lost track of my bros. Decides to head back to the village for one final moment. I wonder what that's for. We then see Emma swimming before cutting to Spin and Mia. Spin tells her that he needs to poke his head out the building, so he has to have a little swim. Before we see that Nandy's still alive. Before again we cut to Shaw, who's confronted by Lucas and his bro at gunpoint. Lucas and Shaw eventually have a agreement that no need to use guns. We'll beat each other to death. The fight begins. There's a few old timey jokes where Lucas says to Shaw, "Is like, you're gonna do old man," and Shaw's like, "What was that? I left my hearing aid inside. You have to speak up, Sonny." Which is quite a humorous joke. I thought it was quite funny because, as I said, the guy doesn't look as old as people are saying he looks. The all-out brawl starts.
Just compared to everyone else.
Yeah, probably compared to everyone else, he probably is the oldest boy. When he's probably in his 40s maybe. I won't say that's old.
Mm.
They're joking. They're like saying, "Oh, you're in his 60s or 70s." He's not. I don't think. I could be wrong.
It's as old as James.
We'll agree on that. Okay, moving on. Sure, takes like all this on the chin, the scrapping and whatnot. But we quickly cut to Emma, and then back to the lovebirds. Spin gets back to Mia a few seconds after her complaining about him promising to come back and not coming back, and the two are forced out of the water when the shark comes in. And while Nandi arms herself with a spear, which is not going to be handy at all, the fight continues between Lucas and Shaw, and it's a decent fight as we already spoke earlier. Lucas wins round 1 with that one massive fucking kick, but Shaw takes him down for a quick cut back to Emma again, and the lovebirds who have a heart-to-heart who's been confessing how much he loves Mia. And they have a little kiss, but Mia spots Spinny's actually bleeding, so they look into the water while he's sucking his finger because, vampire blood. And Spin laughs that it was a close one before the shark bursts out and grabs him. This scene was obviously all over the trailer. It was spoiled like hell. This was obvious. Just like another scene later on, but it's still sad after the heart-to-heart between them. It was like this moment like, we're going to get out of here, I promise you, and then nom nom nom. And the attack sends Mia crashing into the water since the platform broke. And we then cut back to the fight again, and some big hits again. But this is actually better, as I said, because it's between two well-trained like fighters. These two know what they're doing. It's, if I remember correctly, reading even her later on, she does her own fight with him. It's literally they do it all themselves, which I like. I like when actors do obviously their own sort of stunts and whatnot because it looks more realistic and it feels more from the heart for the fact they're doing it themselves rather than saying, "Hey, stunt double, come and do this for me. I'm going to sit back and have a cuppa."
Yeah, less like it's more realistic and less Buffy the Vampire Slayer when Buffy turns into a man with a wig on. And it's very obvious.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
After one big hit, Shaw collapses and Lucas sends his man to finish him off because, he's a pussy and can't do his own job for him. We then see Emma take the shark tracker from the bomb, since I planted it on there to draw the sharks in. Before we cut back to the surface level, Shaw finally gets the upper hand on the bro number 3 and lands a suplex on the guy. But as he tries to choke him out, they both see a shark approaching, so Shaw drops on his back and lifts the man up, allowing the shark to take his head clean off. In another scene that was in the trailer, but it still looks quite decent. And it's a very inventive way of killing someone, rather than just, I don't know, beating him to death or chucking him to the sharks. He just...
Or choke him out.
Or choke him out, yeah. It's very inventive as to go, "Hey, look, shark, you want a meal? Here's some head."
Nom nom. It reminds me of like Twilight, when they did that scene where one of the vampires grab a vampire and the werewolf eats the head off. Like that, but without sparkles and less shit.
I say, you want to bring that film up again? We're not friends anymore.
I love the werewolves in the films. That's it. Vampires are dog shit.
Then watch a film with werewolves in. That's not Twilight. There's many to choose from. Yeah, that's not that film that we watched that once. That was dog shit. And I can't remember the film's name because it was really bad. I gave up after 20 minutes because it was shit. Back to this movie. But yeah, Twilight's shit. Don't watch it.
Yeah, but Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, but he's got better since then. That ruined his career. He literally said it himself. That ruined his career.
Yeah, it did. But
and now he's back again, thanks to films like Tenet.
Have you watched him talk about the film? Fucking hilarious. He slates the entire time when reviewing it.
That would make sense because the two main ones hated it because it literally did ruin their career.
Oh yeah.
And then they've had to bring it back themselves. Him more than her. He's brought his career back a lot more into the eye of the public than she did, but
all she's really done is just cut her hair off.
Yeah. And do Charlie's Angels. And that horror film Underwater, which was actually quite decent. Which is about Cthulhu. But moving on. We're now up to 5 dead. 5 kill of the movie. And Shaw then climbs up before we cut to Mia, who explains the box she is in isn't a coffin over and over again, as a fin begins circling it. Shaw is too late though, because as he gets to Mia, the building collapses and the shark exits with blood around it. Oh, I wonder if she's dead or not.
Oh, Mia's dead. No.
It's definitely not Spin's blood.
No.
We then cut underwater where Emma tries to pry the bomb from the wall, but is attacked by Lucas's last bro number 2. The two slightly fight before Emma is saved by Sally, the Great White. Emma then returns to the bomb and removes it, but when she turns around, she runs straight into the 2 balls. But she's able to use the bomb to push them away, since earlier on, Richard explains that they use explosives on sharks, so...
They know what it looks like.
Exactly. Lucas then tries to contact his bro, but has no response, while Emma manages to contact Shaw and explain what's going on. Nandi gets back to Shaw and explains Lucas is about to leave, so they contact Emma, who asks them to get the balls off her. So outside they go, and they use the headless body as bait to drag them in, and they do. They come in, eat the body, nom 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 nom.
Yeah.
Emma then apologises to Shaw for something she's about to do, before we see Lucas starting to move the boat. Emma then surfaces and they help her out. They explain that the others are dead before they watch the boat stop. On top of the boat, Lucas pulls out the detonator. And they're like, oh, the village is screwed. But Emma's just there smiling because she knows it's not. Because as Lucas clicks the button, oh, Little Happy doesn't blow up. No, the boat does because Emma attached the bomb to the boat.
Not big unhappy.
The boat then sinks as the 3 balls now swim as a pack since they are whole again. The 3 people, however, regroup. Shaw suggests they jump on his boat and flee, with Nandi agreeing, while Emma's saying they can't leave, the sharks have to die. Shaw's like, you spent your entire life protecting sharks. Similar sort of dialogue towards at the end of the last one, where the guy was saying to the woman, he's like, you spent your whole life like protecting sharks and whatnot. Why do you want to kill them now? She's obviously the bad sharks, genetic enhanced, they gotta be killed. And this time the ladies agree, but Shaw at first won't because he's against this until Emma brings her dad into the argument. He's like, oh, my dad would have kept fighting till the very end. What are you going to do, Shaw? He's like, for fuck's sake, fine. And this group then head outside where Emma reveals the GPS is their way of beaconing, basically getting the shark back in. And she explains it all. And they're not going to bring the sharks to... they're not going to swim out to the sharks and track them. They're going to bring the sharks back to the Little Happy. Because, it's their ground, they can destroy them there. So they then rig up the drone outside with the beacon and send it off. So it's shark versus drones again, but not the same. Yeah, because the sharks do come in the same motion from the beginning. That the fins go up, the music kicks in. But as you say, when Emma brings the drone back in, it gets stuck in a net, causing them to lose interest and swim off. Emma says she has to cut it loose, but Shaw pushes her aside. It's like, no, I've got this. Dive on in. He manages to cut it loose, but the sharks return, and he knows he's stuck. He can't get out of this situation, even though they're yelling at him to swim because the sharks are coming at him. That would have been hilarious if he started singing like one of those sort of songs. Because, he pulls 2 of the darts out of his pocket, the explosive ones, and as the sharks get open wide towards him, he just bursts out the water and stabs it into both sharks, killing both of them. But also killing him and making him death number 7. Which was quite a nice ending to a great character. He went out in a badass fashion. And obviously the friends are now mourning his death, but a very burnt Lucas returns to use his knife to get an advantage over Emma. Gets a few slashes and whatnot, downs her. But Nandi comes in, definitely wouldn't make the Olympic javelin team as she tries to spear Lucas and completely misses.
But it was distraction.
That's the only good thing about it, because, as you say, it completely distracts him and allowed Emma to grab the knife and stab Lucas in the heart. Yeah, they have a brief little struggle and whatnot, but she pushes it further in and backs off, allowing Lucas to collapse and become victim number 8. But this time, it was a person that killed him, not a shark.
Humans were evil the entire time. Oh no!
Emma then hobbles off, holding a stab wound, only to the last shark swimming, but notices something in the water. Basically like a trash compactor sort of thing. She then dives in with her blood dripping in the water and, splashing and whatnot. She gets the shark's attention and draws it in. And she tries to do a Star Wars situation. The shark is unable to get to her, though, because it's only a small gap and it can't fully get in. And she can't actually get out the door because the door's blocked with debris on the other side. But she managed to get open just enough to stick her hand through and hit the button. and this then brings the compactor down the shark. She apologises to it because she doesn't like harming nature. Holds it down, keeps going, but the shark's thrashing actually breaks all the stuff attached to it and causes it to sink into the water. And then we get the the money shot of the face to face between the human and the shark. She then sticks around it again and hits the button while kicking the shark back into the compactor. Eventually, it compacts enough and causes the shark to do a weird face thing and then explode, turning the water red. Nandy then arrives and gets her out because she's going to drown if she don't. And they get to the surface. They're like, "Oh, you're crazy, you are." She's like, "I know. Look at the sky." And then we fade out to the boat sailing away.
Yeah.
And watch some dolphins. Look at the sunken village. Sally surfaces to say bye-bye.
Bye.
And then, there's a big green box. I wonder what that's doing out here.
You open it. Oh my god, Indiana Jones.
No, it's Mia.
I thought it was Indiana Jones. The fridge thing.
No, it's Mia. Mia pops out. She's not dead.
Yay. I thought it was Harrison Ford.
No, it's not Harrison Ford surviving a nuclear explosion in the fridge. It's Mia surviving a shark attack in a cabinet. It's not a wardrobe. It looks like a cabinet to me. Or a very weird-looking wardrobe. Who knows? And at the end, as I said, I hug it out and sail off to civilization. We then pan over the water and the boat with some dramatic music kicking in. I know it's dramatic. Because the subtitles come up saying dramatic music kicks in. It literally says dramatic music in the subtitles. And we fade to black as the movie's over. We then get some very upbeat, music over the nature shots during the end credits, solidified the movie's end. And Deep Blue Sea 3's over.
It's a very weird Indiana Jones film, but
ready for the overalls then, Hayden?
Yeah.
Okay, so overall for me, this is a major improvement on the crap fest of the second movie. The acting is a lot better, which is always going to be when you compare the cast of this to that one.
It's not hard.
Tanya Raymond does great in the lead role. She's a badass in this film. And in general, I think all the cast did great. And I'm a big fan of Shaw in this movie. He's really good in this. The story is way better than the last one, which is how.
It's not hard.
It's not the same fucking movie as the first. It's just made shitter. So it's actually a very good story. I do like the whole global warming side to the story. That's quite interesting. And as I said, the natural occurrence of the villain being born, I did like that a lot. The dialogue is a vast improvement as well. I think the dialogue's very good between characters. The humour is more present here and he's not shit like the last one. The CGI is 100 times better than the two, and as I said, it's better than one, even though one's a 1999 film, so we can't really complain too much. Though the ending scene looks a bit weird with the Maeve going up. That looked really weird. I don't know why it looked weird, but it did look weird. But the overall quality of the CGI is just miles better. As we said earlier, it's not amazing Avengers level effect, but it's for what this film is. It does a decent job of making them look quite realistic.
And that's why I call it Avengers level threat.
The action sequences were a pleasant inclusion in this movie as well. It made it so, as I said, it wasn't just about sharks, which is always the best when you add something else in to draw the people in even more. Like, okay, there's no shark scene here. Let's sit back. Oh, there's a fight scene. Oh, this is quite interesting. This is quite an interesting fight scene. Some good kicks, some good punches. Quite interesting. And as I said, the fact they brought all three movies into the same universe is also a plus for me. I did enjoy them doing that. Because the second one never acknowledged the first one even existing. It was just like its own standalone sequel, whereas this one confirms that the second one happened because of the first one, which is obviously explains why they did a hack and copy and paste job, but it makes sense. What have I got? The soundtrack, I enjoyed that, especially the Sharks theme in this when they appeared. I did like that really sort of dramatic, tense music. That was quite nice. No Jaws sort of Shark soundtrack, but it's an interesting one. And as you said, the weird as you said, dramatic music at the end, as you call it, Indiana Jones music, panning into that weird sort of pleasant, I don't know, under the sea type of music. It's quite humorous.
Darling is better.
And I really enjoyed the scenes when the sharks come up as a pack, all three fins at once. I like those sort of shots. They look quite cool. And I think that covers most of my stuff. I just think in general it's a vast improvement over the last one, which it's not hard at all. So I'm going to give Deep Blue Sea 3 a 6 out of 10. It's no masterpiece, but I still think it's very entertaining for a straight-to-digital movie.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree there. It's an okay film. It's not the best out there, but I'd rather watch this than the previous one because that was awful. This
It
one was
was.
good enough. It was a bit generic at some points. I mean, like the whole humans are bad the whole time, global warming, that bad, kind of what you expect. And but see, it felt like a normal shark film, but there were some bits that at least helped it be a bit better. Like I said, the action and the fact that the main lead was a pretty good female male lead. Because like most shark films, the main lead is the bloke. But that's what's kind of unique about deep sea ones is that the main to be always a female doctor, which is quite unique at least until other films do it better.
I feel like as I went along the first one, I feel like the main lead was obviously Thomas Jane's character. The second one, I felt it was like a duo between the sort of rip-off Thomas Jane and then rip-off Saffron Burrows' character.
Yeah,
And I feel like this one now is a full female lead, so it's sort of it's like it's unique in that sense of male, female, female. So it's not like just like male, or female, female. It's like a mixture, which is nice.
improved.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty good. There are better films to watch, but there are also worse films to watch, and I think that's how best to describe it. Could do worse. So I'm going to give it a 5.5. Split
right.
middle.
So if you was to round it up or down, it'd be about 5 then.
Well, yeah, about 5 out of 10. Just
Okay.
straight in the middle
Yeah.
of 10 and
Okay.
0.
That gives Deep Blue Sea 3 a Chat Cave overall rating of 5.5.
How
Which
you?
is the second highest rated one, because I think the first one gave it 6 because it was joint between in the middle.
Yeah.
But basically it's an improvement over the one we gave the last one. So my question of the day is: do you think that the criticism received on the last movie helped basically make a much better movie? Since sometimes being really harsh on something can drive a studio or someone in general to do a better job.
Yes, definitely. I mean, like, if you have made a good project and then someone came over and ruined that project, you'd want at least third time around acknowledge all the criticism. Like, hey, we'll get someone better to do the job, and we'll do the job even better. Take our time with it, have a bit of care into it, and then at least people will like it. You don't want people hating it. The more people hate it, the less people want to watch it. So it definitely probably helped.
Yeah, because I think if I did like another hack and slash job like the last one, I think
yeah.
if people remember that one, they're not going to tune into this one. But I feel like people that obviously like people that was like, oh, I'll watch it because I watched the other ones. They sat down and like, actually, that was an average film. It was all right. Oh, I'll tell my mate about that. Oh, I should watch this. It's better than the last one. And obviously, then that would bring in like more people to watch it, which could eventually lead to a fourth one, which I don't think it needs. I feel like this is a good solidified to the end of this sort of trilogy. Because obviously it wasn't originally a trilogy. It sort of feels like them obviously acknowledging all the previous ones, it brings it all to an end. And the only way they could do another one would be like another species of shark, which I just feel like they just need to stop at this trilogy. It does a decent job of rounding it off as a full sort of circle, which makes it work better than just, oh, you know what? Though we've finished this storyline, let's make a new storyline with this fourth one. They could just, literally, all they could do is just make like a different movie entirely. They don't even have to put Deep Blue Sea on it. They want to do another shark movie, just call it something fucking else. Deep Blue Sea is done. 1, 2, 3. Trilogy's done.
Yeah,
Bish bash bosh, done.
There was a progression to it. Like the first one, the research. Second one was these genetic sharks. And then the third one is their like ending.
Pretty much.
And the like ending of the researchers.
Exactly.
Bring it up to it.
The studio, don't make a fourth one. If you're gonna make a shark movie, just make something fucking else.
Or just don't make a shark film. Make something different.
Yeah, I don't know. Think
Be
of
the change you want to see.
think of a killer animal.
Um, um, um,
Um. Oh, I got one. A killer grasshopper.
oh, I was thinking an entire film that is based on, get this, a chihuahua.
Oh my god.
Higher to the movie of a chihuahua. A little rat shit running around, gnawing on people.
And they could call it Beverly Hills Chihuahua. Oh, it's a wrong. Sorry.
Oh my god. Perfect.
That's the, yeah. That I sort of stuttered. Then I thought, no, it won't be that. But no, I think they could. I think they can make like a trilogy out of this. They could go up to 3. And you know what makes it even better, scarier? Dog can fucking talk.
Perfect. I love it. You're hired.
Yay!
And then we'll do a spin off. That's about hamsters that are all spies.
We can call it G-Force. I know it's
Amazing.
it's
Like G.I. Joe. Brilliant.
Aren't there guinea pigs in that film, like hamsters?
I don't know. I don't pay attention. I never watched it.
Oh, you never watched Nicolas Cage, isn't it? So you should watch it.
I just know the rodents.
Yeah, I think they're guinea pigs. Anyway, let's stop this random jibber jabber 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 and call this podcast. That's it for Chat Cave Podcast. Join us next week as we go a bit more prehistoric as we discuss the 2018, adaptation of the novel The Meg.
Jurassic World. What?
But until then, I've been your host, Drinking Thomas Shoes.
I watched Jurassic World. You promised me.
We'll get to it at some point. And this has been Chat Cave Podcast. And though this movie wasn't fantastic, it was fantastic. That's all, folks.
Why are you alive? Why?
To make you suffer.
Please end my life. Please.